Hello, this is Softly Spoken, and I am back with another public diary entry slash podcast episode. Today, I will be talking about 27 things that I've learned now that I am 27 years old. And I will tell you, it wasn't an easy list to make because there's a lot that I've learned, but there's also a lot that I am still learning. So I didn't want to include all the things that I'm still working on, but I did include a few things that are still a struggle for me. But without further ado, number one of the 27 things that I've learned in my 27 years of living is you will outgrow some friendships. And that is something that I was very sad to realize was happening for me. I do still have a couple of friends from my younger years that I still talk to, I keep in touch with. We don't hang out every day, but we do still keep in touch. But there were definitely friends that I went to, elementary, middle school, high school with that, like, if you ask me how they're doing today, I have no idea. I definitely care. I hope that they're doing great. But I also don't have social media, so I don't keep up with people on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. And that was a choice that I had decided, like right after high school. I was like, I don't want social media. That's not how I want to keep in touch with people. I want to, I want to talk to people either face to face or like at least, on over the phone. But part with that, it also came not being able to see what's going on in everybody's lives. And I accepted that, and that is okay, because I feel like sometimes that can cause us a false sense of friendship, because if you feel like if you're following them on a platform, on a social site, you'll feel like, oh yeah, we're still cool, we're still friends. There's still that connection there, but it's really just like you might as well be as close to them as you are to, I don't know, the president or a celebrity, because it's like you're just seeing these little snippets of their life, but you're not necessarily engaging with them. And I figured I'd rather go without that, go without feeling like there's this false sense of connection, instead of having them sort of in my life as, I guess you could say, a number. And that I was like, I'd rather not have that. I don't want it to feel like I am equating them to a number just because I want to say I have more friends. So that's something I didn't keep in touch with a lot of people. A lot of people didn't keep in touch with me because, I didn't have social media. But there were a few friends that, we kept in touch regardless. And that was all great. And now I'm down to 2 friends that I still regularly talk to, because a couple of them have moved. And, we still hit each other up every now and again, which is great. Just checking in on each other. But things do happen. People do get older. People don't tend to stay in the same places all the time. So I have had friends move to different states, move to different countries. And at first it was hard to navigate, to like still give that feeling of closeness. It was hard to feel that same closeness because they were so far away and you can't visit each other all the time. But it's something that I learned to get over, because it's like, they have things in their life that they're doing. I have things in my life that I'm doing. And as long as we still have love for each other, then it's good. But then there's also the friends that we grew apart, and it was hard letting them go. and there was people that I needed to let go of because they were going a different route than I was. Whether that was morally, or I won't say politically, because I don't separate people from myself politically. If you have different political views, that's that's fine. But there are some things that some of my friends were doing when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and that wasn't my scene, as far as like drugs and smoking and drinking a lot and things like that. And I had to kind of distance myself from that friend group, which was hard because they were people that I had known since I was a child. But of course, there was always that conflict in me. Just throwing this out there, I'm Christian. So there's certain things that I didn't want to get involved with, but I still wanted to actively be a friend and support them if they were going through things. And because we had been friends since we were children, I was like, I can't just not talk to you anymore. But regardless, we still ended up growing apart, and I kept fighting it for the longest time, like, oh no, I can't let this friend go, like, I gotta find time to hang out with them, we gotta find something to do. I know they'd rather like go to the club and do this, but we can meet somewhere in the middle of the week when, like after work, when they're not trying to go out and drink and stuff like that. And it just got tiring. So it's something I learned to kind of let go of, especially when I started getting a little bit older, and there were things that I was outgrowing that this person or these people still wanted to keep doing, and they weren't bringing anything good to my life, so I wasn't doing that anymore. And there was a point where I was like, okay, well, we're on two separate paths in life, and it's okay that we are growing apart. It's sad, it's not fun, but it's okay. And I'm so sorry that first one took me so long. I didn't expect to go in such depth. But so that was the first one. If you have a friend that seems like they're going in the complete opposite path that you are, and you feel like they're going to cause you to compromise your values and your beliefs, then it may be time to let that friend go. And that is all right. Moving on to the second one. Second thing I've learned is not everyone you're close to has your best interest at heart. So, long story short with that one, I'm sure all of us can think of people in our lives that we maybe related to or grew up with, or somebody that you feel is really supposed to have your back, and they turn out to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, basically. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I'm so sorry. And sometimes it can be hard to know who has your best interest at heart, but I think something that will really stick out is when things are going wrong in your life, when something unfortunate happens to you, are they the person that is there to support you? Are they one of the people that are there to help pick you up when you're down, or are they one of those people where they're nowhere to be found when you need them, and then when you're up and you're doing well, they're not cheering you on, they're kind of just like being negative in a way. It's like you can kind of tell who those people are, and I've gotten better at recognizing it now that I'm older, of like, this person, I notice every time I'm going through something, they're nowhere to be found, or they're saying things to make me feel worse about it, or it seems like they're trying to keep me down. And some people will do that because misery loves company, and I feel like a lot of the time that's what's going on, is hurt people. And if somebody is happy with themselves, if somebody wants you to be happy, they will show that. They they won't be negative towards you. They won't be hostile towards you. Because there are some people it feels like you've done nothing wrong, but for some reason they want to bring you down. They want to make you feel like you're not good enough, like you're not worth lifting up. And you just gotta be vigilant, and you gotta realize, okay, if this person is not for me, if this person is not on my side, not on my team, then they might not be a good person to have around. And that can be hard when that's a family member. And I'm not intending to push people away or anything, but there are some people that you may need distance from when you're not in a good place, because they can pull you down and it can make things worse. So yeah, that's something I learned, is not everybody is cheering for you, not everybody is on your team, and it's messed up, but that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. Yeah, sorry for my bad singing. Number 3, don't try to fit in. Don't try to fit in. I've stopped trying to do that. Every now and again, I do kind of get in my moods where I'm just like, I want to be like these other girls. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. And it's like, girl, just be yourself. Or boy, just be yourself. Don't try to fit in, because there is only one of you. And you're the only one that can be that person. And there's billions of other people, and everybody is unique, and I think that's what makes the world special. And whether you're trying to fit in with when it comes to having the same material things as you see other people having, or you try to change your personality to make people to feel more likable, those are all really just surface level, shallow things, and it's not going to bring you any joy in the end. It's not going to attract the right people towards you. It's all just going to be fake, because if you're trying to fit in so bad, you're going to be, it's like a puzzle. You're molding yourself into a puzzle piece to fit into this one place, but you're not meant to fit there. You're meant to be part of your own puzzle, or maybe you're meant to be part of an even greater puzzle with other people that actually love you and care about you and want the best for you, and that don't care about these superficial things. So yeah, don't try to fit in, because it won't bring you any joy. Number 4, everyone moves at their own pace. And I will say it again. I will say it slow. Everyone moves at their own pace. I move at my own pace. I was trying to run and go as fast as the other people for the longest time, or what I thought the speed that I thought everyone else my age was doing. Turns out we're all just going at our own speed, and that is just fine. I cannot tell you how many times through the different parts of my life. I know I'm not that old, but pretty much every other year, probably more than that, where I've looked at my life and I've been like, oh my gosh, everything is taking so long. It's taking so long for me to get where I want to be in life. Look at these people that I went to school with. They're married, they have kids, and they have this great job, great house, all this stuff, and I'm looking at these people around me, and then the thing that I'm not realizing is I'm seeing what's on the outside. I have no idea what is going on inside of this big beautiful house that they brought. I have no idea how long or how hard the relationship that they're in might have been before they got to this place where they seem so happy. I have no idea if they are even happy. The beautiful family that they have, their kids, who knows if somebody's struggling in their family. these are all things that we tend to not think deep enough on when we are looking at a situation that seems like the grass is greener on the other side. And even if things are great for those people while you're in this bad spot, what you feel like is a bad spot, even if these people are living these great lives, you should be happy for them, for one. And two, that's where they're at right now. Not everybody has those types of highs, and everybody has highs and lows. So it's like, even though they seem like they have it all right now, like, you don't know what it was like for them a few years before. You don't know what it'll be like a few years ahead for them, and same thing with yourself. So it's like, you might as well just focus on you and where you're at and your timeline, because at the end of the day, your timeline is what matters to you personally. You don't have time to worry about anybody else's timeline. Like, you literally don't have time, because if you're so focused on them, you're wasting the time where you could be getting to where you want to be. So just keep moving at your own pace. It might seem like things are going slow for you right now. It may seem like you're stuck. I've felt like that many times, but then once I'm out of that headspace, I look and I'm like, I've really came a long way. And it happens before you even realize it. So you might not think you're in the spot you want to be right now. You might not be in, the spot that you want to be in right now, but you're further than you were before. And even if you've fallen behind in your perspective, then there's only one way to go, and that's up. Or is forward. So just keep moving forward. One of the quotes from one of my favorite movies is from Meet the Robinsons. It's keep moving forward. And I watched the movie a few months ago, again for like the 50th time, but I had watched it again as an adult, and it just, that spoke to me. And it might sound corny, it might sound cheesy, but I think that's one of the best movie quotes out there. Just keep moving forward, because you can't go backward. Number 5, nobody has it all together. This kind of goes back to the moving at your own pace. That's another reason why you shouldn't worry about where other people are at, because nobody has everything all together. Even if they seem like they do, they don't. I don't have it all together. The person living across from me doesn't have it all together. Rihanna doesn't have it all together. I don't know who else doesn't. Like, everybody, it's, life is not easy for anybody. Some people, I guess you could say some people may have it easier than others, but everybody has their own things to bear, their own burdens, their own weights to carry. And I feel like if we spent more time, I don't want to say more time, but if we looked at that as a more normal thing, if that was more normalized, then people wouldn't feel these pressures to reach these impossible standards of like, you have to be here, you should be here, or else you're failing, because it's not true. And so, yeah, just if you think that you're the only one that doesn't have it together, it's not true, because you're not. We're all in the same boat. Some people are just really good at hiding it. People are just better at hiding it than others. Number 6, it's okay to still live with your parents. This is, sorry, but these are things that are kind of piggybacking on each other. Is, moving at your own pace. You don't need to have it all together. You don't have to have a house. Is it great to have a house? Yes, but the housing market sucks right now. And, there's not a lot we can do about it. And it's sad, but I know a lot of people have talked about this, and we should keep talking about it, but living in this day and age as a person in your 20s, is really sucky. Because inflation and the housing market and the pay that we're getting compared to how much bills are skyrocketing and rent and everything. It's a mess and it's a lot. And so if you are still at home with your parents and you're saving up money, good for you. As long as your parents are fine with you being there and it's not too crazy, then, do what you gotta do. Hopefully hopefully you have a job and you are, helping out in some way and you are able to save up some money, because it is nearly impossible to save money nowadays unless you're like in the really high figures, money wise. So if you're still at home with your parents, keep doing you. Keep doing you. Save that bag and, do what you gotta do. And make sure your parents know that you appreciate them. Number 7, you don't have to have everything planned out. You just don't. It is good to have plans, it is good to have goals, but not every single little thing has to be planned out, because not everything will happen how you think it'll happen. And as for people like me, that can be hard to deal with, because I love a schedule and I like to plan things. I'm not saying that I'm good at planning things, but I like to plan things. And I like things to go as planned. And I can be a bit of a perfectionist, and it can be hard to not have something or to not get somewhere that you're expecting to be. So when it comes to planning, it's like, that's great. Plan your heart out, make goals, do a dream board, whatever you need to do. But if you don't reach those things within a certain time frame, don't get down on yourself. Don't give up, because those things can still happen. And it's not that you shouldn't plan everything out. Like I said, go ahead and do it, but you don't have to. You don't have to have everything as what you think is written in stone, because nothing is. So like it's definitely great to have those things down and to look forward to those things and to try to achieve those things. But life does get in the way sometimes, and things happen, and things can affect our plans. And so sometimes it's okay to leave a little bit of wiggle room in there. Some room for I don't want to say for things to happen. I'm not saying plan for the worst, but it is okay to leave some like time in there for yourself to breathe and to give yourself a bit of a grace period. It's healthy. I hope that makes sense. Sorry if it doesn't. Number 8, it doesn't matter what they think. Whoever they is to you, it doesn't matter. They can be anybody to you, but it does not matter what they think. Unless you are not yet an adult or you're a minor and you still live under your parents' roof, their rules, and there's certain things that you have to abide by. But other than that, me personally, I'm Christian. I mainly care what God thinks, and I care what the people closest to me think, but not in a way that I'm going to let them I won't say navigate. Not to the point where I'm gonna let them tell me everything that I should do. God can tell me what I'm supposed to do. I should listen. There are times that I don't have to be honest, but when it comes to people, other people telling you what to do, what to think, how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because they're not living your life. I will say take the right people's advice into consideration. It's nice to listen to other people's opinions. I'm not saying don't listen to anybody, but I guess I should have worded this right. I should have worded this better. I'm not saying it doesn't matter what they think, but when it comes to things that you know in your heart is right, and it's something that means a lot to you, then no, it doesn't really matter what they think. As an example, like, um, if you're around people that think that you should be working a certain job, or you should be, you know, living in a certain place, or that you should have like this many kids by this age, or you're not doing what this person has wanted you to do, like your parents, like they've been pushing you to do something that you don't want to do, in that type of way, it's like you are able to make decisions for yourself. Do what you feel you are called to do, what's in your heart. So that's what I mean by it doesn't matter what they think. It does matter what other people think at times. We should take other people's feelings and thoughts into consideration if it does affect them, yes. But if it's something that is not going to affect them, and it's affecting whether you are happy or not, whether you are healthy or not, like, you know, mentally, physically, whatever, if it's something that is a choice that should solely be up to you, then screw it. You know, screw what they have to say, because if it's not going to bring you if it's not going to bring anything positive towards your experience, you know, unless you're doing something that's going to potentially harm yourself, unless you're doing something that that they're trying to prevent you from, you know, causing something bad to happen. If as long as it's something that you have good intentions for, and something that you feel passionate about, don't let anybody stand in your way, is what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. At this point, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Number 9, material things don't really matter. Yeah, they don't. In some ways they do. Like, it's nice to have clothes on your back, especially when it's cold out. It's nice to have a roof over your head. Excuse me. But, I don't get, this is just me personally, I don't get the whole fad of, I think I'm using that word right, fad, I don't know, I don't get the whole designer thing, like, oh, you gotta have a designer bag, you gotta have a Birkin, you gotta have, like, Gucci this, Louis that. Like, I've never understood that. I don't think I've ever owned anything designer. I've never wanted to own anything designer, because it's at the end of the day, it's just a name. You're paying for a name. You're not, I mean, yes, it might be high quality, but they have the same stuff at Walmart, at the thrift store, just not with, it's not with a name on it. And some of those things do have the name on it. Some of those things are, you know, they've been taken to the thrift shops, and they're like old Michael Kors bags and Gucci bags or whatever. And yes, they're still a little bit expensive. Like they're gonna price them as appropriate, but you know, they're gonna price them appropriately. But long story short is, at the end of the day, all these things will end up in a thrift store or in the garbage or at the Salvation Army, somewhere. They're material things. And yes, there are things that end up in antique shops. I love antique shops. I love antiquing. Do I always buy the antiques? No, but they are nice to look at. And it's not something that I'm like, I have to have this because it's made by this person and it's this much money, so it's, looks expensive, so I gotta get it. Like, no, it's usually stuff that speaks to me, stuff that, is very, like, has some type of meaning to me in a way. Like, right now at my house, I'm sitting here looking at this trunk, this luggage trunk that I antiqued, that me and my partner found around the time of my birthday. So I got it for my birthday. I got it as a birthday present, and it's old. Like, it's, I don't know exactly how old. I would say at least 100 years old. It's beautiful. Do I care how much it's worth? No. It was a little expensive. Wasn't anything crazy. Do I care how much it's worth? No, because I don't want to sell it. I don't care if people think it's $10 or $300. I don't care. But it's something that was really special to me. I always wanted an old trunk like that. So in situations like that, it's like, if it's something that you really love, something that speaks to you, then it's fine. But if you're just out here trying to get something for a name brand or because other people have it, is it really gonna make you that happy? No. Because, like, I was definitely, when I was a kid, there were things that the other kids had that I didn't get. And, story of a lot of kids' lives. But, and so, like, if I didn't get that, I'd sometimes maybe get the off-brand or, like, the copycat brand. And, in a way, like, I would be happy. I'd be like, oh, sorry, my microphone's falling apart. Apologies. In a way, I'd be, like, so happy in that moment, like, oh, I got something that looks like what these other kids are wearing. And then I get to school and they're like, oh, those are fake. And it's like, it shouldn't matter. But in those times, like, when you're that age, it does matter. And I think a lot of people have carried that into their adulthood, where they're like, I have to have the real thing. I have to have this. I have to keep up appearances. And then in reality, it's like you're not even getting these things because you want them. You're getting them because that's what other people say is the thing, is what's in. You're basically going by other people's approval, and that's not what's important. Number 10, you can always reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself. I'm sorry if I'm not enunciating correctly. I have some sinus issues right now. So yeah, whether you're age 18 or age 88, it does not matter. You can always reinvent yourself, turn your life around, do something new, change old habits. I'm not saying just like all of a sudden in one day you can just change up everything, but you can start. Simple as that. I don't really feel the need to elaborate on anything, because that could be anything. That could be, whatever you want to do. It's okay to start whenever you want to just restart. Number 11. I laugh because this is applying to me as we speak. Unhealthy eating will catch up to you. It will indeed catch up to you. I mean, unless you are like the 2% of people that are so incredibly blessed to have a fast metabolism, and your body just kind of like knocks those things to the wind. Like, unless you're in that really small percentage of people that can eat whatever they want and get away with it and it doesn't really affect you, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, I love sweets. Sweets are my guilty pleasure. There's so many sweet treats that I love to eat. But as you may know, unfortunately, things with lots of sugar pack lots of calories, and those calories are often empty. They don't make you full, they just make your taste buds all funny and tingly, and they feel nice, and you get a little bit of, I guess, a dopamine high from it. You feel great in the moment where you're just like, I'm in candy heaven. It's like being in a Willy Wonka movie. But then after that comes the ruined appetite, like the tummy aching and feeling like the energy got sucked out of you because it didn't give you anything of sustenance. I think that's the right word. Yeah, it's good to eat your greens. Eat your greens, even though they don't always taste good. And other vegetables, and try to drink as much water as you can. Sodas are no bueno. They're no good, and that is something that I have tried to cut down on a lot over the years. Every now and again, I stumble and go back to that for a couple days, and then I'm like, I feel terrible, and it will make you feel crappy. And yeah, they have alternatives like Coke Zero and stuff like that. But I'm sure all the carbonation and stuff isn't good for your body either. I'm no expert, but when it comes down to it, fruits and veggies, and if you're a meat eater, certain types of meat are the way to go, and to not eat as much sugar. And I'm not preaching to anybody, I'm not calling anybody out, because this is for me to hear as well, for me to like tell myself I need to chill out, I need to stop eating all these crappy foods, and even like snacks and stuff too. Like snacking is great, snacking is yummy, but it also depends on what you're snacking on, because a lot of those snacks are just like, they're just a disease in a can or a bag. So be careful. What's next? Number 12, adulting is hard. I'm not going to go into detail on that because I'm pretty sure a lot of people know that. So that's just something I learned as a young adult. Adulting is not easy, and I had a feeling it wouldn't be. I wasn't one of those kids who were like, I can't wait to grow up so I can do whatever I want. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows and cake. Speaking of cake, don't eat too much of that either. I'm sorry, I'm not a comedian, but yeah, adulting's hard. I learned that. I kind of already knew it was coming. So if you're one of those kiddos out there that is just so eager to turn 18 and to be an adult, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's just not. So take your time, be a kid, enjoy being a kid, have fun. As like, it's like, sure, you might get certain freedoms when you're an adult, but it's not a lot of freedoms by choice. It's like you are obligated to do certain things because you're an adult. So yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. Shout out to Spider-Man. Number 13, worrying won't help. I'm saying that to myself especially right now because I worry a lot. I'm a worrywart. I will worry about things when I'm supposed to be asleep. I will worry about things at 3, 4, or 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm supposed to have my eyes shut, when my brain is supposed to be unconscious. I will worry about things that ultimately don't matter. And that, like, I will, like, think through things like it's a math problem, and I hate math. I will think things like it's a math problem and I have to solve it, like my life depends on it, before I wake up in the morning, although I've not gone to sleep yet. And it makes no sense. And for those who aren't Christian, I'm not trying to preach to you, but I'm gonna say something here from the Bible, because this is a verse that I always go back to. Just searching this up right now, even though I should know it. I know, like, the gist of it is worrying will not add to your life. Bear with me, please. Bible verse on not worrying. Luke 12:22. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear." Sorry. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? And there's also, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And the answer is no. We cannot add a single hour to our life by worrying. And I tend to forget that while I'm worrying. And sometimes I take a step back and be like, oh, this isn't doing anything for me. Because worrying is like your brain's mechanism to help you solve something in a moment where there is actual danger going on. But when you're worrying about something and there's nothing going on, your brain still feels like it's happening. And so you're causing yourself to think that these bad things are already happening, and they're not, because you're planning for something that there's no evidence of. You're planning for something that, it hasn't even popped up in your life. And so worrying about it is not going to make a difference. Well, it will make a difference. It will make you feel drained, and it will ultimately make you unhappy. So yeah, that's something that a lot of us I know deal with, especially if you are dealing with anxiety, or depression or anything like that. And I'm in that boat. I feel a lot of those feelings pretty often. And like I said, my main thing right now is I do worry a lot, but ultimately it does not help. Number 14, it's okay to take breaks, especially mental health breaks. Luckily, I think more jobs are understanding that some people need mental health days, but it's still not very widely talked about. I feel like it's still something that's very glossed over, because we live in a society where it's like work, and that's it. Like, your whole life is just supposed to be dedicated to that, because you need to make money, because the economy is not booming like it's supposed to be. So if you don't work, make the money, you're not going to live. So we're working to live. Yeah. And so it might not even be a work situation with you. It could be anything. It could be you just need, like, you're a mom or parents, and you need some time to go on a date, time to, or even if you're a single parent, you need some time to, like, take some you time. And I know not everybody is in a position to do that, and I know sometimes you might not have a babysitter or things like that, but even if it's just like taking some time to meditate when the kids are sleeping, or if you do have somebody that you are able to go to and ask for help, like could you maybe watch the kids for an hour or so, and I go, so I can go get my feet done, or go get a massage. And then because people tend to neglect themselves because they're so busy being there for others. And like my last video, I talked about how if you're constantly giving to other people, or you're constantly pouring out of your cup, it will go empty if you're not refilling it, taking time to settle down for a minute and refill yourself. You won't have enough to give to other people, especially those that need you. So yeah, there's that. It's okay to take breaks. Or even if you're a college student, like if you've been cramming for like exams and stuff like that, or you've been so focused on your schoolwork that you've neglected to sleep enough, or just go out and do something with a friend. Maybe that's what you need to get over the hump, is to go step away for a minute, give yourself some time to regroup, recuperate, and then go back to it. You don't have to just be on it all the time. Number 15, you don't have to be in a relationship, especially if you are a young folk. I used to think that I had to be in a relationship because I didn't have a relationship all throughout my teens until I was like 18, 19. I didn't have a boyfriend in high school. I thought that was the biggest deal ever. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a boyfriend. If I don't have a boyfriend, then what am I living for? What is my life for? No, like, especially if you are in school, just like, it's okay to just focus on your schooling, because like, you don't want to get out of school and you're just like, sure, you were in a relationship, all this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like you get out of school and your life has been so enveloped in this other person that you didn't really think about what you wanted to do when you got out of school. You didn't really think about your life moving forward. You were just like, it's just about my partner, and, I'm gonna sacrifice college to do whatever with him, follow his dreams, stuff like that, or vice versa. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm not saying you can't do that, because, some people fall in love really early and get in some really serious relationships early, and they live together forever. But there are some people where it's like they think that if they're not in a relationship that they're doing something wrong, or they think that if they are in a relationship really young that they have to put all of their energy into that relationship. And it is great to be that type of partner where you are that engaged, and you are, that is very mature to be really engaged in your relationship and to care that much about it and to be faithful and to be involved, especially that young. But it can take a lot out of a person, especially if you haven't gotten a lot of your life together yet. You don't want to sacrifice what you could have in the future just for I don't want to say like a lifestyle, but like if you're young, you don't want to just, throw all your dreams out the window to keep this relationship going, even if it's not bringing you anything, if that makes sense. Like, in some cases it can be bringing you a lot, but I guess I'll use an example like my niece. She just got her first serious boyfriend, and every time I talk to her, like, he is pretty much all she talks about, and it's sweet and it's cute. But she's a senior in high school. She doesn't really, when I ask her about things, she's not telling me like, oh, I plan to do this for college, or like, it's okay if you don't want to go to college, but like, oh, I want to do this after I get out of school, or like, me and this friend are going to go do this or hang out and do this. It's always this guy, and they haven't even been together that long, and she's 17, and it's like, you still got to focus on yourself and what you want. And she's just thinking about this picture of what they're gonna be together, and she doesn't really talk about her life as if it was just her life. And I think when you're planning to get married to someone, that's a whole different ball game if you are really planning out a life with someone. But when you're young and you just started dating them, it's like you should also still think about yourself as a full person, not one half of a couple. Because at that point you're not taking into consideration like, oh, what if this isn't gonna last that long? What if something happens to where we break up, and then one day you do break up, and it's like you didn't think about this, so you're like, what do I do now? And you didn't really make any plans for yourself because you were too busy worried about a partnership when you were still so little, so young. So yeah, in that way, like I said, I was so obsessed with being in a relationship when I was younger, and it, didn't happen until I was 18, 19. And looking back, I'm glad that's the way it went, because who knows what I would have gotten into that young and not knowing things, and I probably would have went along with somebody that didn't really love me, or somebody that would have ended up hurting me. And so yeah, I'm glad that I am where I'm at right now, with a great person, by the way. Number 16, be patient. Be patient. Practice patience. I don't think I need to go into too much detail, but you don't need to have everything right now. You don't need to be constantly worried about what you don't have, what you aren't accomplishing yet. You can, if you know that you're doing what your best, you're trying, be patient and it'll come to you. If it's the right thing, it'll come to you. 17, it's okay to let people go. I guess I can shorten that one, because there are people that will come into your life for a season, and there may be a purpose to it, and sometimes that purpose will serve itself, and then or that friendship, relationship, whatever, will serve its purpose, and then it'll be over. Sometimes it'll be like a complicated situation, and you just don't know how to let go, and it can be really hard to let go. But if you know that it's not healthy, it's not serving you or the other person, sometimes you just gotta let go. Let go and trust that it'll be okay. Number 18, I learned to not settle, but to also not be too picky. So that, I guess that goes back to me being younger and first getting into relationships. I was settling a lot because I was like, oh, boys finally like me, and I hadn't had a boyfriend in high school, so sure, I'll go out with you. No, it wasn't really like that, but because I was still hesitant and I was scared. I was a little scaredy cat, but I did let myself get talked into a couple relationships where I was just like, oh, well, sure, we'll see how it goes, and I settled, and it didn't help me, it didn't serve me, we didn't have a great relationship. It didn't work out, and I'm glad it didn't work out, because if you settle, you're gonna end up in a funk. You could end up resenting that person, they can end up resenting you, because it's you just kind of, we're like, okay, sure, let's just be together, and even though we don't have that much in common, or even though our morals and our values don't match up, and I'm not your type, you're not my type, but we're both single and we get along, so let's give it a shot. And it's no, relationships aren't just for, there's a difference between going out on a date to get to know if you fit with a person, and there's a difference between actually dating that person. And there were times where it should have just been a date and that was it. Because once you realize that there's nothing there that could really hold you two together, there's nothing really connecting you two, then it's what's the point? So don't settle, but also don't be too picky. You don't have to nitpick and be I know some girls are I need a guy who's 6'1" and who makes 6 figures, and it's okay, cool goals, cool dreams, but there's a lot of women on the planet, and I'm sure not all the numbers are even. They're not every girl who wants a guy who is 6'5" is gonna get one. There's just not enough super tall guys in the world like that. The average height in America for a guy, I think, is 5'8", I believe. So it's and that's not even saying what other countries are. I don't know what the average height in other countries are, but it's that's saying something. If 5'8" is the average here, and I hear so many women in America going, oh, I need a tall guy, blah, blah, blah. It's not realistic. You can't all have a tall guy. And short guys are awesome too. might not be your type, but you never know. You might find the perfect guy, like the perfect guy for you, and then you find out that he's like a couple inches shorter than what you're into, and it's like, are you gonna let that stand in the way of you being happy and, giving this person a chance? You know what I mean? So don't be too picky, but also don't settle. Number 20, I learned how to get out of my comfort zone. Not all the way. Still working on that. I'm still scared of public speaking. I'm only able to do this because I'm hidden behind a screen, and yeah, I'm not good at public speaking. I can't just like go up and talk to people in front of a crowd. I can't just go up on stage and talk to people. I would literally either faint or throw up or have some type of physical, like I would have a heart attack probably. So that's why I'm starting off with this. I do want to learn how to articulate myself more. I do want to learn how to talk to people better. I do want to learn how to express myself and not be afraid to express myself. I want to be able to talk to people without having a brain freeze, because that happens to me a lot. And so this is like my outlet. This is something I feel like this is a stepping stone. Me doing this podcast is a stepping stone for me to get to where I want to be in communicating with people. So for me, this is the start of me getting out of my comfort zone. Try to get out of your comfort zone, because things do not happen while we're stagnant and while we're stuck in our box. I mean, they can happen, but ultimately the bigger things are outside the box. So step outside of it. Number 21, I learned to cook more. Part of this is because I'm a grown-up now, and because even though my partner loves to cook, I don't want to leave that solely up to him. That would not be fair. And cooking can be fun. For me, cooking used to be more of a nightmare, and it's not because I don't like being in the kitchen. I like being in the kitchen, but I would get so like stressed out with like the recipes and like making sure we have everything for it and what goes together. And I was so in my head about thinking of these like outlandish recipes and outlandish dishes, and I'm like, wait a second, I can just cook something simple like chicken and rice. We do a lot of chicken and rice here. We do a lot of fish and rice here. Rice has become a big fan favorite around these parts. Some veggies on the side. We did some veggies on the side last night. Stir fry things like that. Lots of simple stuff. And when it's a lazy day, might pop like frozen pizza in the oven, things like that. I won't count that as cooking though. And I do like to bake, but it has gotten a lot better since I have left home, because at home that was something else. Was like when I was living at home with my parents, there wasn't always that option to just like cook, because my mom was usually handling things in the kitchen, and then when she wasn't, I had like a time limit in the kitchen because there was stuff she needed to do, stuff other people needed to do, and then like I would ask her, like, can you help me figure out this meal? I'm trying to meal prep. Can you help me do this recipe, whatever? And my mom was like, nah, child, just go on YouTube, go on Google, search it up yourself, do it, blah, blah, blah. And by the time I do all that, it's like, it's time to go to bed. And nobody wants to hear you rummaging around in the kitchen. So once I moved out, it got easier, and I've started to explore with the cooking. Number 22, stand up for yourself. I learned how to stand up for myself. Still gotta keep doing that. I will use an example as like the last job that I was at. The women around me, I would say it was, a lot of them were nice, but there were like a few where no matter what anybody would do or like how anybody would approach them, it didn't matter if you approached them with like the nicest voice, the nicest demeanor, they had the worst attitudes, and they always wanted to have a problem with somebody, and that person became me. It went a while without like I was just like keeping my distance, keeping my mouth closed, being quiet and timid. And then one day that anger, that attitude got popped off on me, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was only a matter of time. But yeah, that anger got directed towards me, and I had an option. It was to back down and to keep being quiet, because there had been like some passive aggressiveness before, but I kept like sweeping it on the rug. Okay, like, they're stressed out, they're having a bad day. But the fact that they were talking, I say they because it was mainly two coworkers, the fact that they were giving everybody the same attitude told me, like, okay, this is not just an environmental thing. This is not what anybody else is causing you to do or say, or not causing, but this isn't on anybody else. You guys just choose to have a bad attitude, and one of them directed it at me a little too much that day, and I had to stand up for myself. And yeah, I think that was like the first time I did that in a long time, like since I was a kid. And I basically was like, I'm not just gonna sit here and let you talk to me like that. And sometimes we have to stand up to people and be like, look, I know you might have stuff going on in your life. You know, you might not be in the best place right now, but do not take that out on me, because it's not gonna help you. Excuse me, my sinuses. It's not gonna help me. It's not gonna make either one of us feel better. And so I kind of just like stood up for myself. I was like, I'm not gonna let you talk to me like this. Like, I've tried to be nice to you. I try to be cordial. I try to dust it off my shoulder, and I have to confront you about it. And after that, the attitude with me anyway stopped. And sometimes that's all you gotta do. Does it always end up so nice afterward where y'all can speak? Because I was able to speak to this person afterward. We were fine after that. Are they cool with me today? No, this person does not care about me. I thought we were friends at a couple points while we were working together. Like, we would text every now and again. After this, like after I left that job, she did not give a crap about me. Like, she didn't even ask if I was okay. She didn't even ask what happened. When I left, why I left, she wasn't worried about it. And so, like, that's another thing. It's like, you don't have to be friends with people you work with. Don't make them feel obligated. Don't let them make you feel obligated to be friends with them just because you guys work together. I feel like that happens a lot at least with women at work. Is, some of them might try to have outings and stuff like that. That was something that happened a lot with me in like a few of my jobs, where they wanted to have outings and girl time, stuff like that, and kind of just keep us, like, it was stuff that was meant to bring us together, but ultimately it was giving us this false sense of friendship that wasn't there. Because, like, some of those people, they'll, like, laugh with you, have fun with you while you might be, like, out at a work thing and act like everything's cool, hunky-dory, and then you're at work and you guys have to be a team doing something, and they're basically just leaving you out to dry, leaving you hanging. And people don't deserve that. So it's like, if you need to draw a line where it's like, I'm not going to be friends with people I work with, like, I'll be cordial, I'll be professional, I will be positive in this work situation, but we don't have to be besties. We don't have to be best friends, Number 23, I've learned, and I'm still learning, to not sweat the small stuff. I don't want to keep throwing out like my mental health issues or whatever, but I do struggle with OCD. Part of that is I do obsess over little things, things that would not be important to a lot of other people. With that being said, nitpicking everything and worrying about, like, if something got behind on a schedule, like if I'm late for something by like 2 minutes. I mean, I'm not saying if it's like work or something that's important, but like if I plan to meet a friend somewhere and they're like a few minutes late, or like I I'm like driving somewhere and I get held up, or trying to think of like other examples, simple example, or I go to the store for something and the line's too long and I'm getting frustrated, and or even just like somebody cutting you off on the road, like they like almost hit you and you're about to get in a whole crash, then I understand you being angry and wanting to use some words, some language, but um there are some things where like that have happened years ago even, and I'll be like, I feel like I've heard other people say this before, but like you'll be like up in the middle of the night trying to sleep and thinking like, why did I do that like 10 years ago? Like, why did I think this person was waving at me and they weren't, and I waved back and they looked at me like I was crazy because they were waving at the person behind me, or like, why did I I'm just trying to think of some other things. Or like, why did I put myself out there and embarrass myself doing this? Or why didn't I say this during this argument with this person? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. It's just something for our brain to ponder on and to obsess over. Because, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, we wouldn't be thinking so deeply about things that happened in the past or that haven't happened yet in the future if there was something so big going on right now. It's like we give ourselves these distracting oh my gosh, sorry. We give ourselves these distractions when there's nothing keeping our interest at the time being, like at the time that we're in. So it's like maybe you just need to give yourself something to do, something to stimulate your brain, something else to focus on, something better, something more productive. And that's something that I've been trying to do more of lately, is when I am in that sort of headspace, is maybe just like pick up a book instead, or this goes for if I'm thinking about something from before, or if I'm like getting a little agitated or upset and it's something small, something not that serious. I could, go on my phone and listen to a song that I really like, something that'll calm me down. It's go through my head, think of the things that make me happy, things that make me feel more calm, or go take a walk. If you can't take a walk, do some deep breathing. That's something that I know a lot of people mention, but it does help if you are able to slow down in that moment and really, like be present. You can get in that headspace of like, okay, just be here and just breathe. It can be hard at first because it's like, what the heck? Like, why is it so hard to just like relax and breathe? But you can do it. Like, you can do it. I don't know what that's from, but I've heard it, so I wanted to say it. Number 24, be more authentic to who I am. I have learned to be more authentic to who I am by unlearning a lot of the things that were being, I guess, thrown at me. Not really thrown at me, but by unlearning a lot of the things that I guess adapted myself to, like where I was just like, oh, I'll go along with this because this is what my friends are into, or this is what my parents told me to be, to go for, to do, things like that. So now I'm being more authentic to myself. This podcast, this YouTube thing is part of that, is me putting some of my own personal things out there while also like seeing if it helps anybody else by sharing, being a little bit more transparent than I usually am with strangers, to hopefully help somebody else out there that may be thinking, oh, I'm alone and I feel stuck and, life's not going how I thought it would go. So yeah, I don't know what else more to say on that, but I've been trying to. I won't even say trying, because when you're being authentic to yourself, you don't have to try. I would say that I've stopped trying so hard to fit into these little boxes that people are trying to put me in, which is like being all like done up and put together. Like, I'm not one of those girls that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I don't wear makeup really at all. Maybe on occasion might wear some like false eyelashes if I'm going somewhere, somewhere bougie. I don't know. Might have a little mascara every now and again, maybe some eyeliner, but no like foundation and contour and stuff like that. None of that. And it's fine if you do, but like, there was some of that pressure when I was, younger, to like doll myself up and to wear the fake hair. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it like that, because it's okay if you do wear, like, of course it's okay if you wear wigs or weave. Like, if it's cute, go ahead and do it. If it makes you feel good about yourself. And sometimes I do wear, like, when I get braids, that's not all my hair in there. It's hair added in, or like crochet. But there were people that were like, you need to get like a whole sew-in, and you'll look so cute with this, so cute with that. Girl, you gotta get these shoes. Girl, you gotta get this jewelry, stuff like that. And or like, you need to get a job here, or you need to go to college and blah blah blah. And that's great if you go to college. It's not really my path. I don't know, I might go back to school in the future, but as of now, not my path. But yeah, just kind of learning to brush those things off and be like, that's not what I see for myself, that's not what I want to do, so I'm not going to do it, and I won't feel bad about it. Okay, number 25, trusting. I've learned to trust more. I'm still learning to trust more. Trust issues is a thing. A lot of people have it. If you're struggling with that, it can be overcome. It's okay to not trust everybody, because you shouldn't. But my main thing is, like, I've been learning to trust God more. To trust that things will be okay. To trust that He's got me. To trust that, to trust in my relationship, my partner. At times it could be hard because, two different people, two different minds. Like, you never know what the other person's thinking. People are unpredictable. You never know what could happen, what they could do, how they could hurt you. And that's something that I really have been working on to overcome. Like, I'm going to choose to trust this person because they're choosing to trust me as well. And I think the hard part is trusting not just them, but trusting my judgment and how things will go. But like I said, like, people are unpredictable. You never know. And it's like, you really are taking a leap of faith. And that goes hand in hand, trust and faith. And so it's really a call that's up to you, who you trust, what you trust in, and how important it is to you. And that's all I can really say on that. But I will say, learning to trust has helped me to not worry as much. And then another thing is, like, sometimes we can put our trust in the wrong things, and that's not necessarily your fault. You shouldn't feel bad about it, because most things are not in our control. So if you trust in something and it turns out to go wrong, you shouldn't worry about, like, you shouldn't be upset with yourself. You shouldn't be like, oh, this is why I should never trust anybody, this is why I shouldn't have faith in this. It should more be like, okay, how can I be strong enough to get through this, to get past this, and still have the ability to trust again. It's like getting back up from a fight. It's not easy, but it can be worth it. Number 26, stop expecting so much. I've gotten to a point now where I've kind of stopped expecting a lot. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean like I've given up, but I was expecting myself to be... Oh my gosh, I skipped a number. I'm so sorry. I skipped number 19. Please forgive me. Number 19 was I learned to drive. I learned to drive really late. Well, this is something else I'm using to shame myself. I learned to drive a little bit later than most people in life. Well, in the States. I was always anxious to learn how to drive, and then when I started it, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work out. I'm never going to be a good driver. But I kept going, and I learned. I started to learn at like 19, 20, and then I was like about to give up. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm too anxious. I'm too, it just was not clicking in my head. I was like, I don't have the coordination for it, which is silly. But, got to age 25, and I got my license. So it all worked out. I learned how to drive, and I got my license, and so far so good. Yep. Anyway, back to, I think it was at number 26, stop expecting so much. So yeah, sometimes it's better to not expect things to happen. You can hope for things to happen, but you shouldn't expect it, because then you're like, in a way, you're like building yourself up to be disappointed when it doesn't happen. And that's all I have to say about that, because I've learned many times that, like, if I just keep expecting things and then they don't happen, I'm going to be disappointed. So I'm not going to expect things. I'm going to hope for them, pray for them. And if they don't happen, they weren't meant to be. Finally, at number 27. This took way longer than I thought it would. But number 27, short and sweet, it is never too late to try something new, which kind of ties into it's never too late to reinvent yourself. But yeah, it's never too late to try something new. There's lots of things that people say you're too old to do, you're too old to start like gymnastics or karate, and it's like, sure, you might be too old to do that and then get into the Olympics, but you're not too old to try it, you're not too old to learn. You might be a little less flexible, you might hurt yourself, but you could also be great. You could learn something new, you could gain experiences, you can gain health benefits, and with me, my new thing that I'm trying is YouTube, and I don't know how it's going yet, but I'm not going to worry about subscriber count. I'm not going to worry about how many people are listening, because this isn't just an experience for views. This is an experience for trying something that I thought I wouldn't be able to do and see how it goes, and also putting myself out there, so on and so on. Yeah, this is me sharing a piece of myself with the world and seeing if it has any positive outcome. And I hope it does. And I'm going to end it here because this has been really long. 27 things that I've learned. Turns out that is a long list. I mean, it did seem long, but I didn't think it would be that long. Maybe if people like this enough, then I'll do another one next year when I'm 28. Some different things that I've learned, though. Different things that I think I said that right. Different things that I've learned. So it won't all be the same plus one new one. But if enough people like it, sure, I'll put another one out. If not, that's cool too. Maybe I'll just leave it up here as a gem for that one person that sees something in it. So yeah, I hope you guys stay well and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Or you'll hear me next time because I'm shy. Bye.